this Football Friday, Extreme Football Friday on the Awesemo Betting Show on the Awesemo Odds channel. We welcome you in. Hit that thumbs up button before you do anything and make sure you are subscribed, of course, first and foremost to the Awesemo Odds channel. We have a lot of things to tell you about from BetMGM, who will be powering the odds today, as they always do. Tyler is producing, and of course, Ben Rasa is here with me. And man, let's just look right away at what happened last night, because that sent a ripple effect throughout fantasy, DFS, if it's betting, whatever it is. When you have somebody of the magnitude of Christian McCaffrey, especially in that game, Ben, where it was one-sided believed to be coming into it, and he was expected from a prop to just helping the Carolina Panthers cover a number. He was involved in it all, and then he goes down. And the first thing I'm thinking of is, all right, who's going to step up and void all of Christian McCaffrey's props here? But man, that and then the game itself from last night was definitely without any type of boredom. I was locked in the entire time, and I can't even believe I'm saying that with Carolina and Houston playing on Thursday night.
Yeah, you're a brave man. It had its moments, a little tough to watch at times. I mean, from a personal standpoint, McCaffrey gets hurt. Okay, that hurts. Well, you can't do anything about that. I don't really care about that. That's just bad luck. My best bet, my favorite bet last night was Panthers halftime, Panthers full time. And yes, I needed a miss extra point to get there.
Miracle.
That was incredibly lucky. Really helped. Anthony Miller helped a bit. But man, I think people, me included, forget how good DJ Moore is and can be, because in the first half, even when McCaffrey was in there, he was dominating the Texans secondary. And with Darnold being pretty effective, they got him mobile, which surprised me. Carolina is a good team. I don't think they're 3-0 good, but yeah, all you can do is beat who's in front of you. And so far, they have been outstanding.
Yeah, think about the difference last night, where you give out ahead of time on the Thursday show, the halftime, full time, which clearly should never have been in that situation in its first place, where we're relying on a doink off of the goalpost. But you had to sweat that out.
I did.
Meanwhile, the opposite of that was Sam Darnold eclipsing his rushing prop with like 3 minutes off the board in the first quarter. What? I didn't expect that by any means either. We did okay yesterday.
Listen, Carolina knows what they're doing. Their defense always seemingly starts fast. They said they've given them no points in the first quarter. That'll play. Obviously, it's going to change going forward at some point. But, on the other side, I still think we have to look at the Texans are not, they're just not good. Davis Mills was doing his best. He took incredible shots. I was surprised he was left standing at the end of the game. Cooks was busy. Anthony Miller looked clearly like the second option. They got nothing from Chris Conley. They got nothing from all three of the backs. This team, they might have a lone win for months and months now. How they beat the Jaguars, I'll never know, but it doesn't look like they're doing anything anytime soon.
The one thing that I'm interested in before we turn the page and start looking at this weekend, the one thing that I am interested in moving forward, because Carolina, it's going to be sharp now. They're 3-0. Their defense is legit. You mentioned DJ Moore. Even without Christian McCaffrey, which we can anticipate for a little bit, there's still Sam Darnold is not Sam Darnold in the Jets. I think it's going to be a little sharper trying to nail down Carolina. But I wonder if, from what you saw last night, the fact that even without Christian McCaffrey, I know that's a factor there, Ben, but this team is playing at least somewhat competent. I hesitate to use that word. As I said it, I want to retract it, but somewhat blowout type defense. If they get a 15 and a half point line, regardless of where it is, with Davis Mills, like we saw that with Tyrod Taylor, you smash it, you jump on that. Do you think there's anything you can extract from last night and say, yeah, if they've got a 15 and a half point line against, decent teams, not the Chiefs or somebody that's, going to blow them out, does Davis Mills and what you saw last night change that at all? Kind of how we would approach it with Tyrod Taylor?
I think the problem is we're not going to get that. If we did, I would say yes, because at times they showed some signs. The defense isn't a complete dumpster fire just yet. The problem is Carolina plays at one of the most methodical paces in the league. Carolina was on a short week. Carolina was on the road, and they still did that. So, in other circumstances, I do worry a little bit against a team that wants to play up tempo. And it's just as simple as this. Houston right now is not they just don't have the personnel. And I'm sure they're planning to rebuild, and they will, and they'll have a top end draft pick. Many of them actually, with some of the trades they've made. So I get it. I don't think it's a team to pick on. I think the teams to pick on, and we're going to talk about a couple of them on Sunday, are teams that people think could be serious contenders, and they're just not. They're paper tigers. I don't think anybody thinks Houston's any good, and the books value it that way.
So let's move on. Thursday night, there's not really much more from that until we start seeing some look ahead stuff with Carolina. But to be honest with you, we have such a juicy weekend here. So let's look at Sunday, and we can kind of go back and forth if you want. You want to throw a side out, and I'll kind of follow up with that. But I'm always curious now on Friday, because Thursday we have Thursday night football. Monday we have Monday night football. We try and slide some college stuff in there. We will today, and also lock it up. So if you're here with us, make sure you hit us up all the time on the chat. Whatever you are here with us with your lock it up play, could be of the night, four technically college games. Could be something on Saturday, Sunday, maybe in a week, whatever it is. You tell us, lock it up, and then the play. So Sunday is where I think we can find some good value on the board. And I'm always interested to see how this is on Friday, because value has shifted. Numbers have shortened or widened, depending on what we talk about with spreads. And you still have about 2 days or so, technically 48 hours before kick. So I'm always curious as far as where your mind is maneuvering and what jumps out at you.
Yeah, so I think as we talk about this, we still have some time, but some numbers create urgency. Numbers that are hovering around 6.5 or 7.5 or 2.5 or 3.5, because those key numbers, you need to try to avoid them if they're going to cross. So some of those games, like the New York Giants, as we've talked about, they're -2.5 and it's -115. That number could go to 3 at any minute. And if you're going to back the Giants, now's the time to do it. A game like the Titans that I've talked about, and we're going to talk about it again today, it's sitting at 5.5. I don't really feel the need to jump on it right now. I feel fine taking the wager, but at the same time, I'm not going to miss anything. I do think the Carson Wentz news, whenever we get clarification, that could alter it. So there is that. And that's probably why I might go to it. But yeah, I think it's numbers dependent. We do have a couple days, but that doesn't mean there's not value.
So what happens, right? Because I'm with you on the Titans Colts game. And I think we've talked about this earlier in the week, where that line seemed baked in with the anticipation, right? So if you approach it where it's baked in, where it's not going to be Carson Wentz, it sits at 5.5. And I'm amazed at this as well, that we're still at this point here. And again, I got look ahead was 5.5. I don't think this line moved, right, all week.
Yeah, it's been pretty stagnant, and the Colts are shaded a little bit right now. It looks like it's closer to going to 5 than 6. I don't really. I
guarantee there's a belief that he plays, right? That Carson can still play. Practice today.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's more trending towards playing. But as I said at the beginning of this week, if Carson Wentz plays, I'm not going to say, man, I'm really sad that I have the Titans -5.5. I feel very comfortable with that. I think they're just significantly better team at home. And Carson Wentz still should be limited in some way with double sprained ankles. If Carson Wentz is not able to go, and it's Brett Hundley or Jacob Eason, I think this number is going to cross 7. So I either get it at fair value or I steal a couple major points. Either way, that's all systems go in my book.
Is there any concern that it's not going to move that high because it's already been baked in?
Well, I guess
you don't lose anything.
I mean, if it's already baked in, then we'll find out about that if Wentz is declared in and this goes down to like Colts +3.5 and I lose points that way. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll tell you this much. If Wentz is ruled in and this spread drops to that, I'm going to bet the Titans again and cost average down.
I did exactly that last night when I saw that live line drop from 4.5 to 3 for Carolina. Just pound it and pound it, because it makes sense. Carson Wentz doesn't ruin the Titans' chances. I'll say this too. I wonder what happens with this total, how much it moves with Carson at all, because at 47.5, I like going over even with a backup quarterback here. I think the Titans have the ability to get to the 30s, and the Colts are not going to ask either Hundley or Eason. Hopefully it's Hundley just from a total standpoint of going over. But I wonder if that thing drops at all, and maybe it's worth just waiting to see what happens with Wentz. It's the only thing I would look at from a total standpoint. Right now, I wouldn't hate going over 47.5 by any means.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee just seems like no matter what, these games devolve into a shootout every time. They just play
Right.
outrageous games. They get going. We saw that against Arizona. We certainly saw it against the Seahawks. So I don't know if the Colts are that type of opponent, but at the same time, I think Tennessee could do a lot of damage against this defense. I like their weapons. They're getting better even immediately. That was a big win last week. So I'm going to back the side. The total, I'm pretty agnostic. If you like the over, I can get down with that.
Yeah, I don't want to force anything by any means. It was just something to look at here. I see already Beat Boz, and trust me, Beat Boz, you and I are on the exact same page. That's my favorite play of the night by a mile, and I have no problem laying the 6.5. Trust me, we'll talk about that coming up. I see our buddy John Shelton can't resist with the juicy first half K-State play. Locking up K-State first half plus 3.5.
I haven't hit a Kansas State bet since Darren Sproles was there. I never get that team
you're
right.
Missing out, brother.
They're just a methodical.
Top 25.
God, that team is just so difficult to predict. They play so slow. It is in Stillwater, and we'll talk about that game in a little bit. But I want to ask you, I've kind of thrown out the Giants. I've thrown out the Colts a little bit. Is there a side on the NFL Sunday that you're really focused in on right now? I know you mentioned a total or two. Are there any teams themselves that you're looking to back?
Yes, I think right now the most comfortable I am in backing a squad. I'm not going to take the 2 points. So there are two that I really like. Okay. I think Minnesota just makes too much sense right now to not play, especially at home. It's a short 2-point line. They're getting the 2. I'm just going to play the money line here. I think that I don't need it's under the key 3, and I don't need those 2 points. My confidence here is that Minnesota wins this game. Like I have it that Minnesota has been tight and close for 2 losses. They're not going to start 0-3. So I'd rather just take the return at the money line there as opposed to laying 110 for 2 points that I don't think I need on that standpoint. On the flip side, and then I'll see what you think about both of these. The other one is instead of laying the 118 or 120 on the money line, I'm going to lay the 1.5 on the road. I still do not believe in Sean McVay in a big game. I don't believe that Matthew Stafford has just completely cleared up all of those blemishes that Jared Goff has left. This ain't, to paraphrase Chris Russo, they say Joe Montana walking through the door here. Okay. So Sean McVay, this is for you because I know you love trends. Sean McVay is 1-8 straight up, 1-8 against the spread when looking for his 3rd straight victory in his career. There's something to this Rams team. Yeah, see? And traveling across 3 time zones, I believe the team that has to do the traveling so far is 5-1. There's some numbers or some trend. I just think Tom Brady is playing with the best talent around. And this is not reinventing the wheel saying this. The best talent he's had. Antonio Brown can sit for this game. So those are the 2 I like. I love Minnesota at home because of the circumstances surrounding their first 2 losses. I know they're not 0-2 bad. And I really like Tampa because I think a lot of people, this is one of those where I think a lot of people like the Rams, even though the Rams are a dog at home when it comes to the book. And that's where I think I can jump in on Tampa.
I'm with you with Minnesota. I think it's a tough game. There's no doubt. It's not like Seattle's just going to roll over and die, but Minnesota at home, the weapons, Cook got out of there okay. I still trust the receivers. And Seattle's a fine team, but I don't think they're a juggernaut by any stretch. I think Minnesota will win that game. I'm with you as a slight upset. Boy, it's interesting. So the Rams opened as the favorite, and the line immediately swung through 0, and the money came in on Tampa Bay. And now it's kind of hovered between like 1 and 2 in terms of the Bucs being favorite.
We have it at 1 on BetMGM.
Yeah, 1 right now on BetMGM. Healthy total, right. 55.5. Boy, it's 2 good teams. There's a part of me that thinks maybe Tampa is just dismantled, and we see that. Mm-hmm. They had one of those games later in the year last year, and it kind of was a reset, but they're so good. Everyone on that defense. We're going to find out, though, because I've gone with this theory already that Tampa's secondary is actually really bad for a championship caliber team. Their secondary is not even remotely close to championship standards. If that's the case, Matthew Stafford and Kupp and Higbee and this offense should shred them. So we're going to find out there. I think I might look for some props. I think Stafford will be effective. I just don't know how much Tampa will score as well. So maybe some over props for me.
55.5. I love going over. If you wanted to give me a total, a tall total here, then give me the Chargers and Chiefs all day over 55. The problem that I have, though, is that as like Stafford and Brady and all the offensive weapons that both teams have, the Rams are more than comfortable playing a lower scoring. Like the Rams don't have to put up 40 in order to beat you. And while the Bucs defense may dictate some of that by how bad their secondary is, to your point, I don't know, something about this game. And maybe just because we kept rolling with the under last night and it's the under train that keeps rolling here. But I'm not playing this game outside of Bucs -1. But if I were to play a total on this, I would look long and hard and try and find as much as I could to make me feel good about playing the under. I wonder if 56 points is just too much to ask in this game.
I mean the Rams
got some large totals.
They have played pretty slow to start the season, but they've been extremely effective. If you're looking at passing yards per attempt, the Rams 10.7 yards per attempt, which is just like video game numbers. That's going to regress, of course, but so far when Stafford drops back, good things happen. If they can protect him, I do think he has a distinct advantage against the secondary. So the problem with that, as Chad is asking about the running game, you just can't run on Tampa. It's impossible. I don't think any team is going to have much success doing that. So they're going to have to find a way to get Darrell Henderson. Sony Michel is not the right player for this game. I think they spread him out and kind of play up tempo, and we'll see what we get.
Let's look at anything from a rushing standpoint. I mean, Fournette is the only guy we have on the board here for a player prop. So even they know with Henderson being banged up and Sony Michel as a guy that's going to get some volume at the very least as a result of that. Here's something to look at, though, from a player prop standpoint. There's no real break on either side because Stafford and Brady, it's -115 over and under for both. Both of these guys have passing yard totals over 300 yards. They're pretty much the same number. Brady 309.5, Stafford 310.5. I think again, the obvious play would be, go over both of these guys, right? Because Brady is on fire and Stafford has the Bucs defense against them. But to your point about efficiency and about moving the ball and not being, especially in that game against the Colts, I think I'm going to go under 310.5 for Stafford, based on my also play of Tampa winning the game.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of that. I think I like Stafford in this spot. Really efficient. He's got the weapons. I also like Cooper Kupp, who's just been fantastic. I know his prop is pretty juicy at this point, not in line, but the yardage, you need a big game at 84.5. He's just been so dynamic. They get him in space. They can't key on him either because Robert Woods is still there. Van Jefferson is still there. Higbee is an absolute asset to this offense. So I think Kupp will have ample opportunities. And then AB going down, you mentioned, it's not like Tampa won't move the ball, but one less guy if he can't get a couple negative tests, and it seems like that's unlikely. So you've got Godwin, you've got Evans who really benefit.
Before we get into some more player props here, I know you want to give us that final play, the side that you like with the Giants. Let's remind everybody about what we're doing here, of course, where first off, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you are subscribed to the Awesemo Odds channel and take advantage. BetMGM, you see Tyler here, who is constantly reflecting what we're talking about, building tickets and slips, everything on BetMGM. Well, why not take advantage of two things? A risk-free bet up to $1,000 when you log on first-time user with BetMGM. And then you bet $10 and you'll receive 3 months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. So between those two, and really with both of those two, there's no excuses at all why you shouldn't be taking what we're telling you, weighted a little more to what Ben's telling you than me, and then applying everything at BetMGM from a risk-free bet to the 3 months of Awesemo Plus Platinum, 3 months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, I'm with you, brother. I've tailed you on this Giants play. I actually really like the total. I don't know if you've looked at the total as well, so I'll let you take it away with your Giants-Falcons play here.
Yeah, it's just a situation. Giants coming off the long week. They played Thursday. They lost a game that they really shouldn't have against Washington. Now they get 10 days. Saquon gets 10 days. I think that's absolutely important when you're talking about a guy working back. he played 83% of those snaps. I was actually really encouraged by that. Daniel Jones, I was encouraged by that. They're getting healthier. We got to see if Ingram can get out there. Maybe they can get Tony involved. Galladay should be better and better as the season goes on. I don't think Atlanta's a horrible team, but I think this is a pretty bad spot. Both teams, winless. The Giants are at home. I think they just exploit a bad defense. They will do enough here. And then you look at the Atlanta side, I think they can move the ball, no doubt. But again, their defense has shown nothing. And yes, they played. I mean, when you play Tampa, you're not going to look good. I get that. But -2.5 is a good line. Daniel Jones is the more dynamic quarterback at this point. I hate to say it, but Matt Ryan, he's a statue back there. He could still throw it. But Daniel Jones is playing okay. If he gets on the edge as he may, and Saquon should be busy, inside 3 points, that's a good enough spot, even at -115.
I have to be honest with you, Ben. I like him at -3 at home. I look, I'll take him under that key number every single time, but I don't mind. I still think Atlanta's defense is the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah,
and Daniel Jones. Sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
Daniel Jones, I used this phrase earlier, so bear with me here. He's not a poor man's, he's a below poverty line version of Lamar Jackson. I said that as you were drinking, so I thought
that's true.
Spit that out.
Him and Lamar.
But in only one area here. And it factors into what I really like, the best play outside of the total. Look, I'm going to go over the total here on top of taking the Giants to cover that spread, because you have a big play capability with a guy at quarterback, which we know is so dangerous. Now, again, he turns the ball over at an epic rate. He's not a good thrower. He's not a great quarterback by any means, but Daniel Jones, love him or hate him, and a lot of people hate him, and I get it, does have one small ability that few, if any, outside of Lamar really, and I'm even talking about like Josh Allen and others, Daniel Jones could break a 50, 60-yard run on the ground like it's nothing. It's not something you would bank on, but he has that ability in him. And that's where I think, between you mentioning him throwing the football to some guys who are starting to come around and his ability to run, it doesn't rely so much on Saquon Barkley needing 30 touches, if you will, to be productive. So I think that factors into me going over on the total. And then already where I'm going here, over 25.5 rushing yards for Daniel Jones. That number is low. That number is low.
It is low. I do think in a game like this, though, he will be less apt to run because he's not going to be running for his life as much. Washington's going to get after you.
Atlanta's so bad.
Atlanta's so bad. He doesn't need to be constantly under pressure. And, you talked about the turnovers. Yes, it's been very bad. And it's only a couple games. I don't want to use small sample size, but I will say Atlanta last year was just an absolute dumpster fire. So far this year, they've forced one turnover in 2 games. I don't think they're going to be a prolific team at taking the ball away. So Daniel Jones should have opportunities to take care of the ball here. We got to go to player props now, because you had the perfect segue for me with this game.
I saw you.
Saquon Barkley, 10 days back. I do think with an 0-2 team here, I'm not going to say they're going to have 30 touches like Christian McCaffrey. I think Saquon is going to be much busier. 62.5 rushing yards. This is the time to buy. The line right next to it on rushing attempts is 15.5. If he comes around 15 carries in this game, I think he's going to easily eclipse 62.5 rushing yards off 10 days. It's now or never for the Giants. And I honestly feel like it's almost now or never for Saquon this year. If he's working back, he's had a pseudo bye week. He should be very busy in this game. I think that will reduce Daniel Jones's carries. And I think Saquon carries the load to great success, and they get their first win here.
Again, man, I don't need design runs. I just need a couple of breakaways from Daniel
He's
Jones.
great at that. I will give you. Daniel Jones and Saquon can easily coexist, and both can have effective games on the ground.
Give me, I'll tell you what, let me throw one here at you, and then you give me your other player prop. We have a cool feature here. This is Ross's baby, and I can't wait to see how this thing plays out, because I didn't think that you had it in you to go a little wacky like this. And I love the fact anytime you go outside of the lines, we're in for something.
I like to mix it up. There's no doubt.
Yes, you do. Now, let me hit you with this. It seemed a little low. It's a Monday night game, so I don't know if you want to jump in now. I did already.
Okay.
But Tony Pollard's receptions sits at 2.5. We know he's going to get targets. We know he's now a factor in this offense. It's not even like with Saquon, as you mentioned, waiting for Zeke to come back and do something. Tony Pollard is fully infused in this offense. 2.5 receptions. I can get 2 based off targets. And then there's always that safety. There's always that non-designed target, the unplanned target, as I like to call it, where it's a running back as the 4th or 5th progression that you have to hit. So I'm really looking at 3 receptions for a pretty good return. I love over 2.5 for Tony Pollard because I don't think people have caught up to how involved Tony Pollard is going to be moving forward in this offense like he's been already.
Definitely has been involved. There's no doubt about that. I don't mind jumping on that early. I will say we'll have a Monday show and we're going to get into that game in depth. There's no doubt about it. But you know what? You want to steal some value right now. I think that Tony Pollard absolutely can get involved in the pass catching market. And I'm going to use that to go to my next favorite prop with James White, who also we know is a prolific pass catcher. Yes. Over 4.5 receptions against the Saints this week, minus 105. He's had 6 in both games. Mac Jones is a rookie quarterback. The Saints, they are up there with Tampa Bay as a team. You just can't run against them. It's not going to happen. So far this year, they're allowing 2.8 yards per rush. That is second best in the league. This is a front that you don't want to mess with. Last year, they were 3rd at 3.8. They're just not a team you're going to be running with. So I think that Harris could really struggle. What does that mean? Maybe more James White. This guy is a most reliable pass catcher. They have easy targets. I just expect the same type of volume, 6, 7, 8 targets. He's going to convert 90% of them. This should be not easy to cash, but I like my chances if I'm minus 105.
I think that's a great play right there, especially at minus 105. You're right. There's going to be, and think about it, Mac Jones, we're still dealing with that, right? Sorry.
No. I think we're seeing it the same way, to be honest. Like you're not going to be able to attack them up the middle. So what do? You want to give Matt Jones simple, easy completions. James White is the ideal. Damian Harris is not a pass catcher. It is James White, and he's really going to benefit from this matchup. So I think we see that a lot against the Saints this year. Spread them out, get the backs involved. There's no better back maybe in the league at catching the ball and being reliable than James White. So I'm very into this prop.
Any interest in going over Harris's rushing total at 59.5?
I mean, I'm a big Harris fan this year.
It's a tricky number.
We talk about him on the fantasy show over on the Fantasy Football channel, which you should also like and subscribe. I just worry. I think my rule of thumb, unless the books really adjust, are going to be don't mess around against Tampa Bay or the Saints front with rushing yards. I faded Zeke on the opening Thursday game. Obviously, Mike Davis was a non-factor. It's just really hard to run against these teams. I don't think I want to mess around with Harris this week.
I'm going to throw one more out at you, and then we are before we lock it up, as we always do on our way out, especially on the weekend where there are a bunch of juicy plays. Again, John Shelton and others on the chat giving us their lock it ups. Zach Wilson over 1.5 interceptions is plus 150 at a return. Look, all I know is that Denver's going to be up, and Zach Wilson is going to have to throw the football. Zach Wilson pass attempts equals picks. So the more pass attempts for Zach Wilson, the more chance there is that he's going to turn the football over. He's not just going to learn from his mistakes in 1 week. Denver's going to go after him. It's in Denver. They are going to be behind the Jets. So I really like especially with that return at plus 150 to get 2 picks. I'm going to play that over 1.5 for Wilson.
Man, poor Zach. You would hope that coming off a game where you threw 4 bad ones, you'd really be erring on the side of caution. It's a low methodical total, but I do see what you're saying, that they're going to have to pass. They're double-digit underdogs. I'm not the biggest Zach Wilson fan, but I am a New Yorker, so I'm going to let him be. I do like that you're getting plus 150, but
you're plus 150 back.
Plus 150. I don't know, man. That would be
he stinks.
6 in two weeks is, but as I've said multiple times, there is nobody behind him, so it doesn't really matter. He can't get yanked because they don't have other quarterbacks on that team.
Would you feel better if I gave you Corey Davis over 3.5 receptions at plus 105 on BetMGM?
I don't mind that at all. I'm going to make, I don't think it's a perfect comparison, but similar to Brandon Cooks last night, where we saw there's nothing they can do. They have to get him the ball because they have nobody else. I think Corey Davis will fill that role for the Jets kind of this season. He is their alpha. We'll see what's up with Jamison Crowder, but regardless, Corey Davis is going to be Zach Wilson's guy, and they have no other choice.
All right, so we got something here called the jackpot, and this is something that you have created that you will lead. I'm just here to follow your lead, brother. But anytime we're building tickets, multiple legs on a ticket, you
Why
know
not?
me, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, you know what? There's obviously what are we here to do? We're here to create value, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
But there's also an opportunity, just like when you play in the DFS world, a tournament that may not have the best structure, and you say, you know what, I'm willing to sacrifice that for potential big winnings. You can do that with betting here and there. I think you want to be responsible with it with your bankroll, because a lot of these bets can be minus EV if you're not very, very, very careful. But you get a chance to cash a big time ticket, and we're going to try to do that here. We're not going to go too crazy because it is just week one of the jackpot, but I got a 3-team parlay for you right now. I'm going to throw it out, Eitan. I want you to tell me what you think about this.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to do it. We got, and this will be good. You can spend these winnings on Sunday because this is Friday and Saturday night. Tonight, Wake Forest. I think they're going to win this game against Virginia in college football. You can get them at plus 145. Virginia's defense stinks. They gave up 59 points to North Carolina. Wake Forest plays extremely fast. I think that's a toss-up game. I'm going to call for Wake to pull the minor upset. So we start with a plus 145. So that's nice. We move to Saturday. Michigan State's my favorite bet of the week, amongst my favorite bets of the week. 5 points, 5.5 point favorite, depending on where you get it. That's fine. I'm going to lay the 5 points. They're at home against Nebraska. Nebraska's been somewhat of an impressive team. They looked okay against Oklahoma, but at the same time, they're still a 2-2 team. Michigan State's just dismantling everybody. Sparty's been great. Stability at quarterback, 2 alpha receivers. Kenneth Walker's leading the country in rushing yards right now. Michigan State -5 to win the game. So we've got 2 now. I'm going to pull a change up, and this is where it could get a little dangerous. UFC card, big time card,
Okay.
pay-per-view. The main event, Volkanovski. I do like him in there. It's the type of guy, he's had decisions in 6 of his last 8 fights. I think this goes the distance. And if it does go the distance, I think he's much more likely to get that decision. I think Ortega will push the pace. If it lands, I think Ortega is looking to win the fight inside the distance. But if this goes to decision, I think that we're going to have a pretty good outcome with Volkanovski by decision at plus 135. So you link those up, you're going to get a nice return. If you lay the points with Michigan State, you're going to get about 10-1 on these 3. If you take the money line with Michigan State, it'll be slightly reduced, but still a good opportunity. Yeah, like around 8-1. Really good spots there. Worth a little flyer. We're gonna have some fun here, Eitan. I know you like to get a little mix and match. So we got Wake tonight, little Michigan State action during the day. We rounded out with I'm gonna go with Tyler, actually Volkanovski in that fight, not Ortega. But just so people aren't saying, wait a minute, this guy's crazy. But yeah, we're going with Volkanovski by decision, not Ortega, and we're gonna see what we can do here. So that's my little jackpot action. Eitan.
Wow.
What do you want to take make some magic there? Look at that. Even with the money lines, you're getting almost 5-1.
I like it. No, I think look, I'm going to take your word on Volkanovski by every metric in which you've laid out there. Nebraska is a fraud. And I think what happened last week, think about this. What happened last
might be the frauds.
Who's that? Michigan
Oklahoma
State?
might be fraudulent because they
No.
All right.
Oklahoma's going to cover this line this week because everybody's on West Virginia, because everybody thinks Oklahoma is dog shit because they haven't blown everybody out. Come on.
All right.
I don't think Oklahoma's the best team. I think Oklahoma is a strong play this week, Ben.
Okay. I could get down at 17 points. Listen, it's tough because last thing I'll say, and we can get to lock it up, and Chad, feel free to chime in on these shenanigans. Oklahoma in week 1, they laid an egg against Tulane. They won by 5 points. They looked so sharp in week 2, and it was like, man, they really showed what they can do. But we also have to keep in mind it was Western Carolina. They won 76-0. So I don't know. And now look at this man behind the glass throwing some slander, little West Virginia love. So
he couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to come at me on that. I saw his hands. I thought we were running late on the show. The gesticulations. No.
It's going to be interesting to see what Oklahoma does against a real opponent here. Because they did not look good against Nebraska. Nebraska held in that game, and I don't think Nebraska's honestly that good at all. And I think Michigan State's going to expose them again this week.
Okay, so you've got me inspired here. So my lock it up was one play, but I'm now going to do what you did and put together and quote you as far as some shenanigans here. It's a 3-leg parlay all tonight. Now, if you want, you can run the teaser. I don't mind at all you running a teaser with this, but I don't think you need personally to run a teaser on this at all. Look, Middle Tennessee State is just not good. They don't move the football. They can't. Their defense is tough. And the one thing, right? Because here's the thing: the one thing that Charlotte doesn't do well is defend the run, and the one thing that MTSU really can't do is run the football. So Charlotte has MTSU pinned all over the place, and I'm going to lay the 3 at home for the 49ers. To your game, I'm surprised you didn't play this. I love the stones on you going Wake Forest plus 130, 145, pardon me, on the money line. But the one that I'm surprised you didn't go over this total, even at 70.5, because we know it's built in that both teams want to throw the football as much as possible. There's going to be some big plays in the air. I love going over 70.5. And then my favorite play across the board in college from tonight through Saturday is Liberty minus 6.5. Ben, Liberty handled Syracuse last year, and they brought back everybody, if not a little bit better this year. The road doesn't bother me. Cuse is a little down. So that would be my lock it up. Liberty minus 6.5, over 70.5, Virginia, Charlotte minus 3. 3 plays tonight, all on the board. You win some money, and then you can move on to Saturday. Lock it up.
That's got a chance. I'm not going to lie. I do like the over 70.5 tonight. Those two teams play at top 25 tempos in the country. There's going to be a lot of points there. I have no idea about Middle Tennessee State. I'm not even going to comment on that game. I hope Charlotte wins for you. Liberty, if you have not seen this team, they have a legit NFL quarterback, Malik Willis. He is absolutely fantastic. I'm interested to see where he goes in the NFL draft next year, because this guy can really play. Their big-time receiver, I expect to be healthy tonight. Check his status. He has not played in these first couple games. Everyone last year, and I know some people watching may not be super college football people, but Coastal Carolina last year was the darlings of the country. What an elite team. They swept through everybody, and even this year, they're ranked. They're a good team. Everyone forgets in the bowl game, Liberty just beat them. Liberty is a really, really good team. They do not mess around. And this team returns intact. It's not the easiest spot going into the Dome, but I'm with you. Liberty minus 6.5. That's a good line. You can definitely do that. And I expect some people to use Liberty in some teasers tonight. No doubt about it. Along with the Bills. They are going to be a popular teaser piece. I get that.
All right, my friend. On you here. Last thing we do. Ben Rasa, lock it up. What do you got?
So I talked about these games a little bit when we were talking egregious parlays. I'm just going to dig in a little more to Wake Forest tonight. I think that when you look at these two teams, at best, you could say it's a coin toss. So if you're going to get 3.5 or plus 145, you're already coming out ahead. But to me, Wake Forest is actually just the better team. Handled Florida State extremely, extremely up tempo. They're 11th fastest team in the country, 82 plays a game. They're going to wear down Virginia. Again, it's in Charlottesville. It's not the easiest spot in the world, but Virginia's just not that good. So if they're playing in a back and forth type game, and I expect they will be tonight, I think that plays right into Wake Forest's hands. And I don't think Virginia's going to try to slow it. So if you're going to tell me I could get plus 145 or a 3.5, I'm going to say lock it up. The Demon Deacons win again, keep it going. They're not an elite team, but they're a good team, and they're better than UVA, and we're going to see it tonight.
Love it. At JazzRaz DFS for Ben on Twitter, at Shando Show for me. You know the drill, the risk-free bet at BetMGM. Sign up for that and use it to the fullest, and also bet $10, at least $10, part of that risk-free, right? And you'll get 3 months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Make sure you are subscribed to what we're doing. Sunday morning, you and Pete, 8 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Eastern, pardon me. And then we're back Monday, the two of us. at 1:00 Eastern to look at what the hell happened in week 3 and 4 and NFL college respectively. And of course, Monday Night Football. We appreciate you out there. A bunch of nice lock it ups, including Kevin Bloomfield at the end, teasing the Bills down to even. So we appreciate you all. We'll tail what we can, and hopefully you make some money. For Ben, for Tyler, for Awesemo, for BetMGM, for everybody out there as well. Have a great night, great weekend, and good luck.